Hey everybody, welcome back to Pagan's Witchy Corner. My name is Pagan and I am joined by Kayla. How you doing?
Great.
Glad to hear that. I love it. So we're doing a fun kind of episode today. This is not quite a lesson episode, but it's still got a lot of really great information in it. We are going to be talking about sacred weirdness and why it's important to know about it. And also we're going to be sharing some of our tales from the weird file, which we're going to explain the weird file later. I promise. You're going to be like, what's the weird file? No, I promise we'll explain it. But we're going to share some of our experiences from the weird file and why it's important to have a weird file. So, first of all, weird is cool. And that's a good thing.
Weird is cool.
So, every flavor of magic is different and everybody's going to have a personal take on it. It's going to be not the same. It's going to be the same, but it's not going to be the same because we all have our own takes on it. We have our own experiences with it, our own unverified personal gnosis, those kinds of things. And then we have, the stuff that's documented that, people have kind of put together over the years. But the sacred weirdness is the one that kind of lives in the bones. You feel it, you experience it through ritual in ways that books don't really, tell you about. It's your own sacred weirdness. And you're going to have moments where your practice is going to be like, oh, well, I didn't mean to end up here. And you did. And that's okay sometimes, depending on how you ended up.
We took a left turn in Albuquerque.
Yes, we took a left turn in Albuquerque. I don't know why it's always Albuquerque. What's up with Albuquerque, man? Anyway, I digress.
I don't
know. And sometimes it's so crazy, you end up basically being on like roller skates that are on fire going through a cemetery at midnight. Why? I don't know. Because witches are weird and we do weird shit. We dance, under the moon sometimes. And sometimes we dance in our living room to sleep token. And other times we scream it out with, sleep theory in my case. Yes, I like a lot of bands with sleep in the title. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I don't get enough sleep. Maybe that's what everything's trying to tell me, sleep more, but whatever. And so sometimes you end up in places where you're just like, well, that happened. I don't know what to do with it. And that's where the weird file comes into place. The weird file is things you can't explain, but also don't fit in the mundane. Sometimes they're tied to deity, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're a random spirit that comes screaming through your house at 2 a.m. and you're going, well, that was weird. You good? And you don't really know what to do with it. You get weird signs, you get weird stuff that doesn't make sense in the moment. So when you have these experiences, what we do is we chalk them into the weird file until they can be verified. More synchronicities come out, more information, more deity stuff, more something else that comes out that helps verify that this isn't just a one-off and not just a random moment of weirdness. Then it comes out of the weird file and it goes into the, okay, we have to pay attention file.
And the weird file gets thick, y'all.
Ours, I think, might be libraries at this point. So, yeah. Don't be like, oh, hey, this is a weird file. I'll just keep a notebook on it. Don't. Your house will be full of notebooks. Just mentally catalog it. You can write it down if you need to. Put it on a file on your computer. It'd probably save you space, or your phone. But yeah. So the big thing about the weird file is sometimes we get these moments that just feel bigger than mundane. And the first thing that a lot of witches do is go, oh, well, this must be from X, Y, and Z God. And it's like, is it though? Like, there's practitioners that I have talked to out there that's like, hey, I had this really compelling dream from, the Morgan or another deity or something like that. And they told me I needed to go do this really big elaborate thing or spread this big message or tell this person off. Yes, I've heard that before. And it's like, hold up. Let's take a breath. Let's talk about this. Do you work with that deity? Do you have any connection to them at all? No? Then it probably wasn't them. That was probably a trickster masking themselves as that. Yeah, that's where we put it in the weird file.
Just your own brain's intuition.
That too.
It's your own brain's wanting it to happen.
And it's not to say that we can't say that the weird isn't fun. It is fun. It's wild and fun. And there's a lot of stuff that happens within it that makes it go, okay, I don't know what to do with this, but that was cool. That was an interesting experience. For some people, that might be scary, but when you've had it happen so many times in your lifetime, you just kind of go, all right, nice story, bro. Thanks. Like, what do you do with it? Like I said, random spirits that show up in your house at 2:00 in the morning going, are you okay? I was sleeping. Do you need? No, you don't need anything. You know what? Make an appointment. Not now. I'm going back to bed, you fucking weirdo. And then there's other moments where you get these big signs, crows start following you, or something else happens, or, you know, those are moments when you go, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it's connected to. It goes in the weird file. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. Our weird files are probably libraries. And it's cool to experience it. So don't be like, oh, I'm a bad witch. I'm a broken witch because all this random shit happens and I don't know what to do with it. Put it in the weird file. When you can verify it, then it comes out. And I would say probably, Kayla can figure her own math on this, but probably I would say stuff that ends up in the weird file is probably about 75%. It goes in the weird file and never comes back out.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. And the stuff that does come back out usually comes with almost neon signs flashing in my face because I miss things. And sometimes my deities have to get really big.
I'll say this. 75% doesn't come out soon.
No, it could be years. It could be one of those
the
things
other,
like, oh, that went in there. Oh,
maybe 10% of that 75% comes back out years later.
Yeah, I'd say 10 to 15, definitely. Yeah, it's
and then
more so than less.
The rest of it is just weird shit that happens. And you're just going, okay, that was weird.
So not everything that goes in the weird file is sacred. Not everything is a need to immediately jump and be like, well, my deity said this. Okay, let's fact check that before we go following them off the cliffside. That's the whole fool's journey. That's the whole reason the fool is the first card in tarot. Because the fool's not watching where they're going. They're not using any discernment. And the whole story of tarot, which I've gotten into in past episodes, but basically the whole story of the fool is learning the discernment that comes with the path. So that's one of those moments when you're
sacred weirdness is not a license to do whatever you want.
No.
It's not a license to just go off and call your boss a bitch, like just because you had that in a dream. No, that is not sacred weirdness.
That was your subconscious, not weirdness. That was your subconscious. Your subconscious doesn't like your boss. And that's where we really get into the discernment.
This is discernment.
Yeah.
Discernment in practice.
We get into those moments where it's like, do I break out the spell jars? Nope. You go have a cookie, you drink some tea, and then you come back in 48 hours. No, we're not putting anybody's names in jars yet. You know, chill out.
Or you have a serious conversation with your boss if need be.
Yes.
You know, practical things.
If it can't be done in the mundane first, then there's probably not really anything that's going to come out of it magically. If it's something like that. If it's something that's more divine or spiritual, that's a little different. But like I said before, you're going to get a lot more signs if it's important. Stuff's going to keep coming back up. It'll come up in multiple ways. You'll be able to verify it. And that's the difference between, well, that was weird, and okay, this is a big deal. Let's pay attention to it. So
the weird file is definitely clarity, humility, and the commitment to really vet and discern your experiences.
Also,
you have to really take time to vet your own experiences and your own self and discern yourself and your experiences.
And the other thing too is the weird file is not a license to go and play inappropriate cultures. So you don't do cultural appropriation because some spirit or dream or something told you it was okay. No. Even then, if it's not appropriate for you, that doesn't even go in the weird file. That just goes in the trash. Like that one
doesn't override ethics. No. It doesn't override cultural appropriation. It doesn't override any of those base elements. The weird file doesn't override any of those core principles. Period.
Exactly. So when you really start getting deep into sacred weirdness, and honestly, the longer you practice witchcraft, you don't even have to get deep into sacred weirdness. It will find you. It will just show up at your house without even knocking. Invite itself in for waffle fries. And you're going to be like, what are you doing? I cannot tell you how many times weird shit like that has happened in my house. Like, okay. Like, to the point that, like, my husband will see stuff or hear stuff or stuff will move. And he's just like, I live in a house with a death witch. Not even paying attention to that. I'm not the one you're looking for. She's down the hall. Go make an appointment, please. Go away.
Yes.
He doesn't even really acknowledge it anymore as weird. He just kind of goes, yeah, that's not for me. That's for her. That way. You missed your mark, buddy. It's so true. It's so true. Oh, so
in our house, there's two of us. So it's like, well, maybe you're for me or maybe you're for her. I don't know. Which one do you need? There's two death witches. Which one? Which person is this for? I don't know.
Yeah, you end up with that whole moment of going, okay. So what do you want me to do about this? Can I do anything about that? So a really great example. And I've told this I think I've told this on the podcast before, but if I haven't, or if I have, either one. If you're new, this might be new to you. If I've told it before, you can tell me I've told it before. It's fine. But it's a hilarious story. And Kayla was part of it. So she was there for parts of it. And so we all have this running joke around Beltane and around Samhain now, because those are the moments when the veil thins. So the moment those holidays roll around, you will hear almost every person in our coven going, the veil is thinning, the veil is thinning. Now here's a reason why, okay? So one night I'm in voice chat with Kayla and a couple of other people from our, coven and all this other stuff. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to go take a shower. I was home alone. It was right like maybe 3 or 4 days before Samhain. And my kids were off doing stuff. My husband was at work. My father-in-law was out. Everybody was gone. It was just me and the dogs. And so I'm across the house in the bathroom about to take a shower. And it sounds like there's this herd of elephants running through my living room. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? So I poke my head out and I'm like, Bean? And Bean just kind of lifts her head up from the couch and she's like, yeah, Mama, what's up? I'm like, okay, so you weren't running through the house. Definitely wasn't Hershey. Hershey was our little dog at the time. Now, Hershey was in the bathroom or the utility room floor next to our bathroom, curled up in a laundry basket. So it wasn't her. So neither one of my dogs were doing this. And I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, that was weird. That part goes in the weird file. So I get in the shower and all this other stuff. And then I hear like kind of a presence and like somebody kind of shuffling around in the bathroom. And I'm like, the fuck is happening here? And so I'm like, okay. And being a medium, you're used to seeing spirits, you're used to hearing spirits. This happens quite a bit. And so I pull the shower curtain back, and sure enough, there is a spirit standing in my bathroom of this woman who, I don't know, she looked like maybe she died in the 70s. I don't know. That was about how she was dressed. And I'm just like, okay, let's see if she notices me. I'm just kind of looking at her, and she's like, oh my God, are you dead too? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, what the hell is happening here? And eventually she goes, I love this time of year because they can see us. It's so great. And then runs through my house again, making the same elephant sound, shouting, the veil is thinning. The veil is thinning like fucking Paul Revere over here going, the British are coming. And I'm like, what in the hell is happening here? And I finally, I'm so just, I don't even know what to do with this. I call one of my guardians in and I'm like, I'm in the shower. I have shampoo and conditioner in my hair. Could you handle this, please? Like, take her somewhere out of my house, please? Which they do, because that's what my guardians help me with. Sometimes they help me with spirits and get them out of my house when they're not supposed to be here. And, you know, get them to the appropriate places where they need to be. So I come back after taking my shower, just cackling, and Kayla and everybody else are like, what is so funny? And I tell them this story of what has happened. And now it is this running silly moment of the veil is thinning, shouted twice a year. Because
so when something happens that's weird. It's the veil is thinning. The veil is thinning.
It's so ridiculous. And I have dozens of spirit stories of spirits that have wandered in and just done weird shit. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, there was one that came in that one night, and it was probably like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And I'm sitting in my living room and talking to my husband. He's like, babe, there's somebody in the hallway. And I'm like, okay. Now, again, my father-in-law's in his room. My daughter is in hers. Nobody should be in our hallway. There's just us in the house. And I'm like, huh. And so I turn and I finally look and I'm like, yeah, they don't live here. And they're just standing in my hallway like a creeper. And I'm like, if you have something to say it or go away. This is not the house to play those games. Go on. And then poof, they left. And so weird shit like that just happens. And yeah, go on and get. And it's not anything that like you can do about it. It's just, it happens, especially in a medium's household where, you know, there's videos I've seen on TikTok of that whole like, you know, there goes that crackhead I see every morning. Yep, there goes that spirit that I see every morning. Sometimes it just happens. We had a ghost who stayed in our house for years. And he was named Frank. And he stayed because he was a coffee snob, and so are we. He loves coffee. And if we didn't make coffee within a reasonable hour, he would bang our cabinets that had the coffee cups in it. Yeah. Eventually, I think Frank moved on. But yeah, so weird things that have nothing to do with its spirituality other than here they are. It's just weird shit. And sometimes in my household, that's just a normal Tuesday. You just learn to go with it. Especially as a death worker, you just learn to go with it. And you're like, okie dokie.
Yep. You just hang out and you just deal with it. You just hang out and you find the joy in it.
You really do. Because I think that one of the things that we forget about a lot when, you know, we're learning and practicing witchcraft is the fact that witchcraft, yes, is a serious practice. You should take it seriously. But there's also moments when just the most random shit happens. And because witches are more tuned in to the energies around us, the spirit world, the earthly energies and so on, you tend to notice just weird shit happening. It's not anything that we should fear per se. It's more of just stuff gets curious, stuff gets, wanders through, and you're just like, okay, like the dude that was in my hallway being a creeper. He wasn't there to do anything. He wasn't here to harm anything. He honestly, if he was here to harm me, he couldn't have gotten in my house because of my wards. If you want to know more about warding, the episode previous to this talks about it. And the episode before that talks about it.
Oh, yeah.
So, you end up with weird stuff that happens, but anything that has ill intent, something that actually would be trying to harm me, my family, my household, or any of those things, that's just wants to be an asshole, can't come in. It's not allowed. It would hit my wards and then get bounced off like, a bouncy ball. So yeah, they're not allowed to come in. But you end up with really weird random things that happen, and you just kind of go, okay, well, that was weird. There'll be nights that we'll be sitting here on voice chat, playing video games or talking to each other or whatever, and random knocking on our doors or our windows, and you're like, okay, nobody was there. Nobody was able to make those knocks. Weird things happen. You just go with it, because what else do you do? So as, witches, we tend to have a lot of these strange moments that come through. And the other things that, will pop up that are also weird is sometimes, for me, if I'm really not paying attention to something I need to be paying attention to, it will show up in ways that cannot happen on social media. Like the fact that there are times when like a deity is like, hey, pay attention. And my entire like feed, my algorithm, my For You page or whatever will be the exact same message for like 50 videos. That's not supposed to happen. That's a weird thing. It's a verifiable weird thing, because then I can just be like, I'm sorry, was I ignoring you? My bad. I wasn't intentionally ignoring you. Like, did you need me? What's going on? And then you check in and it usually comes out of the weird file. But that's weird shit. So
yes,
I will pass the torch to Kayla and she can tell you about some of her weird shit, because there's a lot of it between all of us.
One is kind of, I call it a mundane weird thing, but it's not mundane. We live in my grandparents' house. What was my grandparents' house. So randomly, I smell a lot of stuff. Sorry, you're going to hear my dog Ludo grump in the background. He's barking and grumping. We just had a delivery. Excuse him. He's having a moment of, you're in my space. What are you doing?
It's okay. We love Ludo.
So I call it mundane weirdness. So we live in my grandparents' house, and it's our house now. And at random times, and I've noticed it's not so random over the years. It's not so random. It comes at times when my grandmother would have been doing this. I will smell her cooking. And I will smell her cooking specific things. And so I'll smell her cooking breakfast, or I'll smell her cooking breakfast for dinner, or I'll smell her cooking fried chicken, or her green beans, or whatever it may be. And what's funny is I smell it from the kitchen has been completely remodeled. And I'll smell it from where the stove was. Not from where it is, but the smell's coming from where the stove was, where the eyes of the oven were. And that's just weirdness. Just little mundane weirdness going on. another big weirdness. We had, and this is before coming back to wards. This is before we had our wards as pumped up as we have them now. We were sitting on the front porch one night, and there was something across the street. You have to understand where our house is. Majority of our neighbors are businesses. And so there's no people there. There's after 7:00 at night, 7:00's the latest a business stays open. At 7:00 at night, there's nothing around us. So this was probably 11:30 at night when we were sitting there. And we saw this thing on the little strip mall that's across the street. And where our porch is, it faces the back of the strip mall. We saw this thing climbing from the roof of the strip mall down to like the electrical boxes on each space in the strip mall and back to the roof. We're like, what on earth? What is going on? And it had more than 2 arms and more than 2 legs, if that makes sense.
Weird.
It doesn't make sense.
I remember that one.
Yeah. It was weird. And so we're just sitting there watching this thing, and it's blacker than the night, and we're just watching it. We're like, okay, that's weird. So we stuck that in the weird file for a while. It didn't get close to us. And then a while goes by, years go by. It was probably 3 years, I think, 3 or 4 years. And that thing had been in the weird file for all that time because we never saw it again. And one night we're sitting outside and we see it again. And it's hanging out on the roof of that strip mall. And we're like, that thing is back.
Mm-hmm.
What on earth?
I think I was on the voice call for the second round, yeah.
Yeah, you were on a voice call for the second one. And we ended up finding out that it's this earth spirit. And it's just in this area. This is its area.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just chilling out. And and this was after our wards were beefed up. It didn't come in our wards. It didn't try to come in our wards. It was like, I acknowledge that you have wards around your property. I'm not going to violate that.
Mm-hmm.
But we found out that it was an earth spirit, and this is its area. And it comes by from time to time. So it took years before our weird file random octopus tentacly spidery thing, whatever it is,
weird spider creature thingamajigger.
Yeah, that would like kind of terrified us to begin with, was found out to be, oh, you're just an earth spirit? Cool. I'm okay with that. No big deal, man.
I love when those kinds
normal
of
Tuesday.
Normal Tuesday. And the funny thing is, before I really understood as much as I do about the spirit world now, and I've been seeing spirits since I was like 6 or 7 years old. And I probably saw them before then, just not as much. But I really saw them a lot more after having a brush with death. I drowned as a kid. So, and then came back and saw a whole lot more of stuff that I normally wouldn't have. But I got used to it and was able to turn the volume down and all that fun stuff. That's a whole other thing that if you want to know more about that on the Tempering Path, we do talk about it in late tiers. So anyway, shameless plug moment. But
shameless plug.
I didn't know at the time, and I had a friend who also was a medium, and she was like, you have this really terrifying man following you around. And I'm like, well, that's not unnerving. The hell? And she's like, you've never seen the man in the top hat? And I was like, yes, I have, but he always didn't seem to bother me. And she's like, he follows you everywhere and like is exceptionally and insanely protective of you. And I'm like, okay. She's like, but it's creepy. And she's like, but it's terrifying because his lips are sewn shut. And I'm like, yes, I'm aware of that. He doesn't talk. And she's like, then who is he? And I'm like, I don't know. He doesn't talk. Well, come to find out, many years later, it was a weird moment because it was kind of creepy because you're just like, you have some really tall dude in a top hat following you around. And he was somewhere between like a elemental, but also like earth spirit. He's a weird combination, but he's a guardian. And so I didn't know this. And apparently I picked him up as a kid. He was my guardian. He volunteered for it. And I'm like, okie dokie. And so I was able to figure that out years later that I have this really creepy guardian, which kind of jives with me. Honestly, I'm kind of actually a weird, creepy person to begin with. Not creepy in a bad way. Creepy as in I like the spooky stuff. Like I'm a Halloween girly year round. Like that's me.
Yeah.
But to find out that was the thing, but also apparently that friend, she's like, he's terrifying. And I'm like, okay. Well, years later, I'm like, it's kind of good that you're terrifying if you're a guardian and you're here to protect me. Like, if you looked like a fluffy bunny, I think, shit probably would be more interested in me. So, but those moments when you're just like, oh, I have something really terrifying following me. What do I do with it? You put it in the weird file because you don't know what else to do with it. And then it gets verified years later. Yeah, he's still with me. I don't know his name. I just know he's a guardian. And I don't even know if he has a name, to be fair. I could probably ask him.
Does he have hands? Can he write?
I've never asked him to write. He does have hands.
We need to find this out, Pagan.
Well, we'll do that later, not on air. I mean, on air, that would probably be interesting. You guys would be like, yeah, do it. No. We'll save that for a live stream one night or a Discord night. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's an interesting dude. And so you have moments where you're like, wow, what do I do with this? Some creepy dude's following me. Like, should I be afraid? Maybe. I don't know.
He's following me, but he's not hurting me.
He's protecting me. That's an interesting development. It was also, what's really funny is there is a guardian spirit that is associated with pretty much my county that I live in here in Tennessee. And she's terrifying. That's the nicest way to put it. She is terrifying.
Yes.
And she always referred to us as her tenants because the land is always hers. It's always been hers. So she refers to us as her tenants. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Don't eat me. Like, that's fine. I'll be your tenant, but don't eat me. Please. Thank you. Would you like some tea? I made some. Like, so she and I developed this kind of cordial rapport with each other because she would come around and, do what spirits do. And so when we got ready to have to sell our property and all that, and we were going to move and all that stuff, I said, look, I understand that it's your land. You can terrorize the neighbors all you want. That's between you and them. However, the only reason we're selling is because we have to do this. And because we can't really keep a farm when it's surrounded by subdivisions. So it's not cost effective for us. And I eventually got her reasonably to understand. And I think she liked the idea that she could terrorize the neighbors. And I'm like, okay, but don't, increase or decrease my property value because you're freaking them out. Okay. Like, that's fine. You're still welcome to come visit. I'll make you tea. You just, don't scare anything. And also don't scare my kids, please. Thank you. But those are moments when you're just like, okay. So a lot of our weird stuff isn't necessarily just like weird deity dreams. We've had, dreams
so many.
We've all had connected dreams in our coven that like they continued the storyline of what happened.
Yes.
And
that is a weird file.
That is a weird file by itself. Oh my Lord. Those ones you're just like, what the fuck? And then weird files where those dreams end up connecting to real life shit that we don't have anything to do with. That's even weirder. You're like, how the fuck did that happen? And they'll come before the shit happens. That's even weirder. So I don't know. They're still in the weird file because we haven't been able to verify anything with them yet. But yeah, those kinds of moments are weird things. Now, when you're having these moments, and, we talk a lot about, structure and deity work and respect and all that. And we have a lot of respect, but witchcraft is also fun. It's exploring. And sometimes, yes, every witch goes and starts poking things with a stick, even though we recommend you don't do that. We recommend you don't do that because we've done that too, and we got bit. So, yeah. Yes. But also, we know young witches are going to do that. New witches are going to do that. And that's how you learn. It's how you explore. But also having the discernment that we did not have when we were younger, but we do now. And helping you guys learn that is the biggest thing to taking your weird file and going, well, that was weird. Check it in that box. Verifying it and using discernment to go, okay, this is something to pay attention to, well, that was fun. I probably shouldn't have poked that with a stick, but too late now. And going,
yeah, learn from us, not like us.
Yeah, learn from us. Don't be like us. Yes. Don't poke random spiritual beings with sticks, literally or figuratively. Don't do it.
Bad idea.
Treat things with respect. We do as well. It sounds, silly and stuff like that when you end up having these moments, but like going back to the veil is thinning lady, I could have just banished her out of my house. Who knows where she would have ended up at that point. But instead, my guardian took her to a place where she could find her way to move on. Took her to basically a reaper of sorts. And so that way she can move on. And so that was one of those moments where I could have done something that would have been, fear-based, which would have been the banishment. But instead it was a compassion-based thing going, this is very bizarre. I don't really want to deal with this right now. And all of that. And then having those moments like Kayla's where weird spider creature, Kayla could have done a whole bunch of defensive magic and made that creature either very angry or leave. But chose discernment instead of just going, I'm just going to let you be unless you come at me. Like,
yeah,
that's where a lot of times
I pumped up my wards.
It's where a lot of times, especially newer practitioners will be reach for the I'm going to defend myself box instead of waiting 5 minutes, observing. And really paying attention to what's happening around you. In my interview with Laura Tempest Zakroff that I did recently on the show, she said that witchcraft is like 20% practice and 80% observation. Yeah. You're going to observe a lot of weird things that will happen, weird spirits that will come through, weird beings, weird energies, weird synchronicities, things that you don't think pertain to you, but they pertain to something else or someone else that you can't explain. You put it all in the weird file. If it's important, it'll come back again, especially if it's from like deities or your spirit guides or your guardians or somebody that is really trying to get your attention. It will come back up. It always does.
They will find you.
Yes. And if you want to know, like we said before, somebody saying, oh, I had a dream from, the Morgan or Anubis and they want me to do X, Y, and Z thing. If you've never worked with them, go learn about them. You don't have to entertain anything that like they do. Now, if you're working with a deity and the deity is like, hey, could you do this thing? You can still say no. That's a lot of things that a lot of, practitioners out there on the internet don't teach you, is you can still tell a deity you work with, no, I don't feel comfortable with this. I don't want to do this.
You still have autonomy.
You still have autonomy, and they will respect it. They might be a little butthurt that you told them no for 5 seconds, but they will respect it. If they don't respect it, that's not your deity. That's a trickster. Do some cleansing. Yeah. So, and a lot of this that we talk about, with psychic skills and mediumship skills, a lot of witches have them and a lot of witches don't. And if you're somebody that does not have them, don't feel bad. It's okay. You may feel things, you may hear things, you may smell things that don't make sense, even if you can't see it. Maybe you feel energies around you that you can't explain, or weird kind of vibes or something like that. That's still a skill. It's still valid. And it can be honed. You can still learn how to work with some of the other skills. Will they be as strong as your dominant ones? No. But you can still learn how to work with them.
Yes.
So, in terms of the weird file, everybody make a weird file. You're going to have weird stuff that happens to you as you practice, as you go through your life, as you go through spiritual work in general. And not all of it, in fact, most of it is not really anything at all. And the big thing about that, and it's hard when you're learning discernment in the beginning, because you're going to be like, oh, well, this really cool thing happened. And that means that, my God wants me to really do this thing, or my goddess wants me to do this thing. And it's like, hold up, take a breath. Let's wait a minute, verify it. Because there are some very convincing tricksters out there who will absolutely look, sound, smell, and do all the things like your deities will. And eventually they'll ask you to do something, or they'll say something that will absolutely not fit what you know. It's also why you should know your deity really well and know their lore. And if you end up with, a spirit running through your house screaming the veil is thinning, all you have to do is be like, nah, thanks, man, but you're a little weird. There's the door. Go away. Most of the time they will leave. They don't stick around for anything. If you have one that comes in, sits down, and says, I want waffle fries, and refuses to get out, then go ahead and get a cleansing out. And if they won't leave, then you can banish them. But most of the time, if you tell them to leave, they go. Or in my case, if you tell them, hey, come back, make an appointment at a reasonable hour when I'm actually not busy with mundane shit, then we'll talk. Outside of that, go away. And about 40% of them come back. The rest of them don't.
Right. And weirdness isn't a flaw to be polished away.
No.
It's good. There's no right way to walk this path. There's just your way. Let it be weird.
And, the funny thing is, like, we'll share some of the stories of stuff that's happened to us, and we do it with also a sense of humility, because we also understand that there's hundreds of stories. And when these moments happen, they're usually in the most random moments. We're not seeking them out. It's not one of those things that we're trying to boost up our ego by saying, oh, I did this thing. Honestly, if I talk to a deity, be like, so I had this conversation with the deity, this is what they said, that's cool, moving on, and do whatever X, Y, and Z thing happen, or you're never going to believe about this spirit. Cool. And then it's not boasted about or talked about or any of those things usually ever again, unless it comes back up. And that's where the humility comes into play, because having those moments to say, this happened, I acknowledge it, I see it, but it doesn't make me better because of this. It makes me still just a witch on the path doing the things. And so you take the time to vet your experiences and do all that. And if you have the ability to have mediumship abilities, great. It's a blessing and a burden. And
it doesn't make you better than anyone else.
No, it does not make you better than anyone else. Honestly, you've probably heard me talk a little bit in very old episodes of, I hate the term psychic. I honestly even hate the term medium, but there's not really any other terminology that fits out there.
Right.
And I don't talk about it often. Not because I'm not proud of what I can do or any of those things. Of course I am. But I don't like it because I don't want any sort of person to be like, well, you can do this and you're going to, tell somebody their life story. Listen, if I could tell people their life story, I would be a very rich woman. That is not my cup of tea. That is not my flavor of mediumship. Thank you very much. I talk to dead folks sometimes when they show up, and I help them move on. That's all I do. I'm not the flavor of medium that allows for that kind of stuff. I'm not Miss Cleo. And if you're young enough to not know who Miss Cleo is, I'm sorry. I might have showed my age a little bit there. Or the psychic hotline.
Psychic hotline.
I'm not one of those either. And neither is Kayla. Neither is anybody else who has, psychic abilities. Most of the time, people don't even talk about it because there's a lot of stigma that comes with it. There's a lot of stigma that comes from embracing the weirdness and knowing that the weird happens around you and trying to explain that to people. For a long time, my father-in-law, who is very mundane, not witchy at all, he got kind of like genuinely freaked out when my husband and I would talk about weird stuff happening in the house. He'd be like, do we need to call like a preacher or something? And it's like, what are they gonna do? Like, I genuinely asked him, I'm like, what are they gonna do? And he's like, I don't know, pray over it. And I'm like, I can pray, he can pray. We were raised in the church. Like, it's not any different.
I can do that.
And he got, nervous about it. And then the more we talked about it, the more like he experienced a few things on his own too. And he was like, oh, this weird thing happened to me. And I'm like, okay, did you tell them to leave? And he's like, you can do that. And I'm like, if you have some weird dude standing at your bed at 2:00 in the morning who woke you up and you don't know what to do with it, tell them to get the fuck out. And he's like, isn't that disrespectful? And I'm like, it's disrespectful to wake you up at 2:00 in the morning.
Yes.
They should have some respect about your time too. So that's one of those moments where, yes, mundane shit intermixes with weird shit. And you don't have the ability to do anything except just go, okay, well, that happened. And it doesn't give you ego. At least it shouldn't. Please don't ever let it give you an ego, because that's a whole other lesson. And practice your weirdness with clarity, humility, and understanding that it just happens. Use your discernment, and it's gonna happen.
And honor the parts of yourself that don't fit the mold.
Yes. If you like weird,
they're often the
things,
parts that
enjoy them.
They're parts that spirit reaches through.
Exactly. If you're somebody that has the ability to have those weird things happen around you, embrace it. If you're somebody that is able to communicate with spirit through art by channeling through art, great. If you're somebody that can just channel, period, great. If you're somebody that hears message through music, great. Use discernment on all of it.
If you can automatic write,
that too.
If you can do automatic writing, great. That's awesome. I can't do that to save my life.
I've tried.
That's awesome if you can do that.
It's hard. Like that's what I'm like, okay. If you're somebody who can communicate with spirits through oracle or tarot decks, great. If you're somebody who can do all of these things, great. Just don't let it go to your head. Just be normal about it. And enjoy the weird shit that happens. Because it will happen. Maybe for you, not often. Maybe for you, a lot of the time. And the other thing, too, is if you come across something that is truly scary to you, your defensive magic is still valid. You're still allowed to banish it. You're still allowed to say, get out. You're still allowed to say, no, I don't accept this. You should not be here. That's fine. If somebody has tested your wards and your boundaries and gotten through and they are freaking you out, kick them out. Absolutely. Your safety, your well-being matters more than the disrespect they are giving you by breaking into your house, basically. So
say, you're not for me, buddy.
Yeah. And it's also okay that if you are a death worker and somebody's like, but I want you to tell somebody so-and-so, and you can't do it, you can be like, I'm not capable of this. I can help you move on, but I can't do that. And sometimes the dead ask for weird things. Like, there was one lady that we helped one night who she asked us to administer last rites from a Catholic because she never got them. Otherwise, she wasn't going to move on. She was just going to be screaming at everybody continually. And
yes,
we had to Google Catholic last rites to give them to her. And then she moved on. She was totally fine after that. And it's like, that was one of the weirdest things we've ever done.
The weirdest things we've ever done. A full group of pagans gathering around to do Catholic last rites. She was like, you need to read them to me. I don't care that you're not a priest. I need them read. We were like,
okay. You just get to the point where you just start to kind of accept the weird that happens and go, okay, that was weird. And you just enjoy it. So as witches, embrace your weird, embrace what makes you happy, but also embrace the weird that is going to happen around you. And it's okay if you go, well, that was weird, put it in the weird file. Or if it's something verifiable, great. Embrace it. Enjoy it. Know about it. Learn about it. And if you have questions or silly stories of your weird files, we would love to hear them because we think weird shit that happens with everybody is fun. Because
yes,
honestly, I cannot tell you how much joy the Veil is Stunning lady has brought to people. Why she chose my house and me, I will never know. I never asked. It was too weird. I'm like, get her out of my house, please. I'm sure she's probably moved on somewhere, but I ended up with like a female Paul Revere of like paganism. So, and as we get closer to May, remember the veil is thinning.
Yes.
So, everyone, this has been an exciting and fun episode telling you all of our well, not all, but many of our weird stories and enjoying our weird experiences with you. We hope that you will also have some weird stories that you would love to share with us. If you want to, you can comment them below, or even better, come join us in Discord. If you are not part of the Tempering Path, we would invite you to do so. The Tempering Path is a beginner's path that Kayla and I have written and created, and we talk a lot about it on the show. But you can come and join it. It doesn't cost you anything except the time and energy you want to put in for yourself. So We would love to see you there. We would love to talk to you, hear your weird stories. And if you have weird experiences that you're like, I don't know what to do with this, and you have questions, come join us in Discord. We will be happy to help you with them the best to our abilities. If not, we will do some research and get back to you, because we
and if you want to join the Discord and not do, if you want to join the Discord and not do the tempering path, you can do that too. You can just join the Discord and hang out.
Be just a normal member. That's fine too. We play games and, watch Supernatural sometimes and hang out and do all sorts of weird stuff together. It has nothing to do with witchcraft. But I'm figuring if you're listening to this episode, you're probably witchy, and so that's cool too. So take care of yourselves in this crazy world. Make sure that you are, taking care of your mental health, taking care of each other. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to other people, because the world is trying to tell everybody not to. And we need to help take care of each other in that regard. And drink your water. And we will see you all next time for another episode. Bye-bye, everyone.